Hey everybody, I am Nick from Define My Day. Welcome to our daily live session we have here every 10 o'clock on Facebook. Uh, it does get uploaded to YouTube afterward, and we do upload it to our Defining Life podcast later in the day, usually, except for the weekends. They kind of build up on me over the weekend, and then we upload them on Monday. And I keep saying Nick from Define My Day. The company's actually Defined Life. Just want to clarify that. Define My Day, obviously, is the journal that you guys all know about. So, still working out that part of this whole thing. Good morning, Anna. Good morning, Pam. Happy Hump Day. Yeah, it's funny because with not knowing which day it is half the time, all of them seem a little bit like a hump day, don't they? I happen to see one, although not a camel. I saw a funny meme of an overweight giraffe. It had like a real thick neck and like thick parts all over it, and there was just like a heavy giraffe. And I was like, like me coming out of quarantine was the caption, and I feel like that's like what I'm trying to avoid. So yesterday I actually did pretty good until the end of the night. I had a couple of nachos, not nachos, but tortilla chips with salsa. Probably put me over the edge, but for the most part, I did. I've been that new rule of mine, a vegetable. Make sure I get a vegetable with every meal. Has been working out pretty well so far. So trying to keep on that and not get too far down the wrong direction here. And hopefully, if again, once we move, I'm gonna have a nice big workout space in my garage, and I can work out and get back to some semblance of feeling healthy. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Carrie. I said Helen and Carrie in the same word there. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Lori. And you both spell Lori the same exact way. That's funny. Good morning to you. You can't see because I'm right-handed, but life begins after coffee, which is how I feel. Woke up at 5 o'clock today. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. Naturally, just got out of bed. That was a pretty good feeling. Pretty good feeling, especially after having that day the other day where I slept in. Um, I got to bed by 10 o'clock tonight, which is my discipline. Um, and got to sleep at a reasonable time, I believe. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Good morning, Livy. Good morning, Barb. Feeling grateful of a new day. Yeah, that's awesome, Barb. I'm going to put you on the screen for that. Very cool. Um, Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Terry. Love that cup, right? Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Good morning, Kathy. So yesterday, kind of a like we worked, and then by like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, Lynn and I are looking at each other, going, "We just want to hear about the mortgage. We just want to hear about the mortgage." That's all. So it got hard to do anything else. We couldn't see past it. Got a couple answers yesterday. Hopefully, today might be the day. I don't know. We're looking forward to it. So we'll see. We'll see. Taking it as it comes. Trying to handle it. The mortgage guy said that it's like Lucille Ball at the end of the chocolate line, just trying to keep all the chocolate on the belt and keep it going through. Because I guess everything, while things might slow down in a couple of weeks, everybody that started this process in February and March is just trying to get it done, and we're in that boat. So and that didn't help that the VA loans just take longer, a little bit longer anyway. Oh no! Don't spill your coffee, sis. Good morning from cloudy Kansas. Yeah, we got a beautiful day out here right now. It's I don't know what the temperature is going to be. I don't think it's going to be very very warm, but from a look perspective, it looks great. Good morning, Angel. Good to see you. Good morning, Deborah. All right, so I got our memes, and this one's not funny, but Anna, I want to thank you for sharing this in the user group. Not seeing results, feel like giving up? Consider this. The last thing to grow on a fruit tree is the fruit. I love that. I love it because it's a very nice way to visualize what all of us are going through. And I've seen other memes where like where there's like a cartoon guy digging in the ground, digging for treasure, and he stops short of like the next thing, the next swipe of his pitchfork or whatever that is like the buried treasure, right? And if you stop short and walk away, all that work was for nothing. And so, while it's very important to realize when we need to quit something that's bad for us, we need to have that same determination when we know something is good for us. When we want to quit, it's the people that are successful in doing what they love that don't quit and push through the hard stuff. So I think that, like you don't plant an apple tree and get apples. You don't get apples for the first couple of years. We have cherry trees in our backyard that I planted like 10 years ago. They are just now starting to bear cherries that are actually edible. I mean, like for years, we get these little itty bitty ones that are, ugh. Now they're actually starting to get it to be a decent size because the root system is growing, because the tree is getting into a mature age where it can actually bear fruit. And the same goes for us. Like we have to build a strong foundation, a strong root system. We have to build a thick skin, bark, a thick trunk. Like we have to be able to withstand the elements. And then once we get to a healthy place, things start to bear fruit. Whether it's the relationships in our lives, money, business, whatever that might be for you, whatever that looks like, it takes a while. And it's easy to give up and be blown over. It's hard to push through it and with grit and determination and reach that place where you're bearing fruit. And I stopped short of saying reach that place where like reach the goal line, because as we've talked about, there is no destination. There's no like, here I am, I'm happy. We've said it in many different ways over the past. Like there's that Robert Hastings poem about the station, right? The only final station is death, right? In this book right here, right? No matter how good we have it, our mind is going to find pain somewhere. So, the only constant is pain. It's just how we look at it and the purpose we put behind it and what we look to every day and appreciate. So, I mean, those people. Those people in your life. They're just always unhappy, right? They're unhappy when times are good. They're unhappy when times are bad. Their level of unhappy doesn't change. And then we know those people that they never see a bad situation where they can't find the good part about it, right? They can't find the learning experience. They can't find, not that they can't find, they can't not find the learning experience, right? And there's those people, and we've talked about it in other books, and I can't remember off the top of my head which one, but like those people that, going through hard times, illness, cancer, death in the family, and they always find a way to have a positive outlook about it. And those people live a quality life. I mean, I'd rather, I'd hope to say that if I'm ever in that position where, I'm suffering through something like that I will have the mentality of, what, this is life. This is what life has given me. And I'm going to make the most of whatever time I have left. I hope that I have that in me. And it's not going to just appear. It's something that I even have to prepare for now, right? Every day. I got to keep bringing a better attitude. I got to keep bringing a more positive attitude. I got to keep bringing more perseverance, more grit. And hopefully all of that practice, when I'm hit with something incredibly bad, I will still have that. I will still have that mindset. I might be defeated at times. I might not always be able to get over the struggle for a moment, but I want to try to default back to that let's go mentality. So that's the way I'm looking at it. That's what I'm driving for, right? Continued prayers and positive thoughts. Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Sharon, good morning. Great way to think of what's happening now. Absolutely. Good morning. So grateful to see the sun before snow comes. I'm itching to get planting. Yeah. I told my kid, I said, You're gonna have some yard work this year, buddy. And we're gonna dump some dirt in the driveway. We're gonna be shoveling dirt. We are gonna be shoveling mulch. We're gonna be planting things. It's gonna be a busy, busy couple of months. We're gonna have fun out there in the yard. Oh yeah, yeah. And Anna, yeah, that just an amazing, very cool, very cool. I loved it. All right, the next one. This is one Lynn, my wife, sent me. Um, Going to what's going on right now. The curve is flattening. We can stop social distancing, which is equivalent to saying the parachute has slowed my fall. I can take it off now. This is another way of saying this, right? Don't quit before it's done. Don't quit before you've reached, before it's borne fruit. So it's amazing. Like you can put this in two different ways, right? But it's the same thing. Don't quit before we get to that point, right? That benchmark, that finish line, if you want to call it that, although there's always continued struggle. So, yeah, you wouldn't take your parachute off in the middle of a free fall. Get to the ground. And then this, we talked about, being outside. This is my dog. My boys and I think it was Monday afternoon, went outside to play some baseball. And our 12-year-old golden retriever, who we constantly say is slowing down, she's not slowing down that much, is she? I mean, she was excited to be outside. So yeah, that's our girl. Um, so yeah, we got to be outside and hang out and play some ball, and yeah, we had a good time. So we enjoy what we can take, right? Enjoy what we can get. Debbie says, "Don't settle for almost." Absolutely, absolutely. I completely finished this book yesterday. The last chapter got a little weird on me. It got a little weird on me. And for those of you that are buying this book, because I know a couple of you did, the last chapter, I will let you read it. It's a little out there, but he might be correct. And man, I don't know. I don't know where humanity is going. I do want to hit a couple of things though as we go around here. We're talking about, we talked a lot about pain yesterday, and he talks about the thinking brain and the feeling brain, right? If you go too much toward feeling brain, you're just always trying to get that next high, right? Or you're trying to numb the pain. If you're too much into the thinking brain, you're going to find it hard to prioritize. And he used an example of a guy who actually lost the ability to feel emotion, and his life went to crap because he couldn't properly prioritize. Like he knew his wife had needs, didn't care because it just like he had no feeling about it. And so he just couldn't properly prioritize things at work and at home, and his life fell apart. So his one chapter here is the feelings economy, and he says feelings make the world go round. The world runs on one thing, which is feelings, and he talks about the two ways that marketers and businesses create value in a marketplace. One of them is innovation, which is upgrade pain, and that is to replace one pain with a much more tolerable or desirable pain. The most drastic and obvious example of this are medication and pharmaceutical innovations. Polio vaccines replaced a lifetime of debilitating pain and immobility with a few seconds of a needle prick. Heart surgeries replaced, death, with having to recover from a surgery for a week or two. So you were just making a lesser pain, right? But then there's diversions. And I think this is the one that's important for us because his point in this whole chapter is that we have gone from improving, like creating products that significantly improve life. We're not making life much longer anymore. We're not making life much easier anymore. Now the products are coming out to just divert your attention. So diversions, or as he puts in parentheses, avoid pain. The second way to create value in a marketplace is to help people numb their pain. Whereas upgrading people's pain gives them better pain, numbing pain just delays the pain and often even makes it worse. Diversions are a weekend beach trip, a night out with friends, a movie with someone special, or snorting cocaine. And I'll skip the second part of that. There's nothing necessarily wrong with diversions. We all need them from time to time. The problem is when they begin to dominate our lives and wrest control away from our will. Does that sound like something we've been talking about recently? Sound familiar? Like sitting on, all I do all day is watch Netflix. How am I going to plan that? That's what this is. Many diversions trip certain circuits in our brain, making them addictive. The more you numb pain, the worse that pain becomes, thus impelling you to numb it further. At a certain point, the icky ball of pain grows to such great proportions that your avoidance of that pain becomes compulsive. You lose control of yourself. Your feeling brain has locked your thinking brain in a trunk and isn't letting it out unless it gets its next hit of whatever, and the downward spiral ensues. It's pretty big, right? Can you see that happening in your life anywhere? I know there are places that's happening in my life. I mean it. You can take it anywhere from smoking to sleeping too much to sitting on the couch too much to eating too much to drug abuse, alcoholism, all of it. Going out constantly, even knowing that you're going to be hurting the next morning from a health perspective, for work, all of this other stuff, right? Avoiding doing something as simple as define my day. Avoiding doing something as simple as taking a walk around the block. Because it's easier just to sit on the couch and watch TV. We've all done it. It's just a matter of how we exercise control over that. Like right now, it's nice to avoid pain. It kind of relieves a little bit of stress, right? It takes our minds off of this situation going on right now. But you can't do it to a point where it starts creating this downward spiral of BS that blows your life up. Creates this unhealthy thing, this unhealthy hole that you're going to have to climb out of. We don't want to be there. That's the point of everything we talk about every day. And so he gets into talking about how the internet, like in the early days of the internet, people had such high hopes for it. That information was going to be at the fingertips of the world, that people were going to be so much more educated. And it didn't happen, right? And he says that what happened was that the world, they forgot the world doesn't run on information. The world runs on feelings. So people didn't start searching for good information. They started searching for things that made them feel good. No matter how bad it was, it made them feel good. Think about the porn industry. It's the biggest industry on the internet right now, I think, still. And he says most of us Google for what is pleasant but untrue. That's why it's so much more extreme, these people that find all these conspiracy theories on the internet. People read articles that support what they already believe, not what is actually true. That's why they get into groups with people that share their similar opinions. That's why, like, even these these extremist groups that are like underground in these weird websites, because these people find each other more easily then, and rather than getting more information and take in a broad scope of information and try to sort through what's true and what's not, they take in more of the thing that supports their already feeling filled, motivated train of thought, and it just continues them down an untrue path. And he says at one point in here, like this freedom that we have right now is actually fake freedom, because we give ourselves, there's so much variety right now that it actually boxes us in. Like we're paralyzed by the amount of variety in our lives rather than given simple choices. And basically, like what people want is actually terrible. Like people want to go on a year-long vacation. It's not good for you. It's not teaching you discipline. It's not teaching you purpose. It's just teaching you to avoid everything else. So at one point he says, if you feel okay only when life is happy and easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, then guess what? You are not free. You are the opposite of free. You are the prisoner of your own indulgences, enslaved by your own intolerance, crippled by your own emotional weakness. Big stuff. It's big stuff, right? And I don't disagree. I think it's big. It's big. So he goes into talking to Plato, talking about Plato here, thousands of years ago. Said he predicted a lot of this stuff. And the problem is, like, as institutions, as democracy gave people more and more freedoms, but people become increasingly unhappy because they have all these freedoms, but they still have this pain that's constant. They start blaming the institution themselves, right? Blaming the institutions themselves. So, and that's what's happening now, right? Because the United States government can't give everybody and make everybody happy. Now everybody's getting mad at the United States government, no matter what side you're on, right? So because we're unhappy with our general situation, and we're growing intolerant of all these little pains that we have in our lives, we start pointing and saying, "Well, what are you doing wrong? Why aren't you fixing this for me?" Meanwhile, everybody else has a different fix and a different pain. So this is probably one of the most important things that I read in this book, and I can show it to you right here. Democracy can exist only when you are willing to tolerate views that oppose your own, when you're willing to give up some things you might want for the sake of a safe and healthy community, when you're willing to compromise and accept that sometimes things don't go your way. Democracy requires a citizen's. Oh man, I'm not doing this justice. Democracy requires a citizenry of strong maturity and character. It's big, right? It's big. That's important. And how many times people think like that pursuit of happiness. He talks about it in the book that the pursuit of happiness is not not a good thing, right? And he goes into many reasons why, but people feel that the pursuit of happiness means that they're entitled to be happy. Nobody's entitled to be happy. You can pursue it. You can try to be happy for yourself, but it's not everyone's or anyone's responsibility to make you happy. And that's the problem with what's going on, or one of the problems with that's what's going on in society right now, right? Everybody feels they deserve to be heard. Everybody feels that they deserve to be happy, that their happiness overrides everybody else's happiness. And any sort of um, feeling of like somebody getting over or getting more turns into a battle about who deserves more and less, and this person, like it's mind numbing. It's mind numbing, right? And we can see that playing out every day, especially now. Playing out every day. Yeah, right. So Anna says, "Love your dog, happiness embodied." I mean, she was amazingly happy. Sis says, "Didn't Rome focus on diversions? Reminds me of something. Read about freedom. Are you free from doing, or are you free to do? The ability to do for yourself and others is much more freeing than having everything done for you." Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. And that's the thing is that, but you have to, like, there has to be a back and forth, right? Like, so, the right side wants less government, the left side wants more government. I mean, there's some people that need more help, there's some people that want less help. Right now we're in a situation where, you know experts are saying that the important thing is to slow this down, right? Slow this down, flatten the curve, all the stuff, right? And then you have people protesting because they deserve to go out, right? They have the right to go out. Well, yeah, but for the greater good of society right now, we need to figure this out. And that's a pause. We have to pause this, right? And it's going to hurt some people. But your people in higher positions have to weigh who they will allow to be hurt more. And that's not a decision that I think anybody takes, well, most people take lightly, right? If I'm in that position and I'm looking at it and I'm trying to judge economy versus health, thousands of people could die, thousands of people could lose their jobs. If thousands of people die, a lot of people might lose their jobs anyway, and the economy still might tank. Well, I'd rather start by saving people from losing their lives especially healthcare workers and everybody else that it could be put into a position where, they would be in an unsafe situation. Me personally, I go that route first. It's going to make some people unhappy. Some people are going to protest. Some people are going to get crazy about it. And we have to deal with that, but understanding that the greater good is most important right now, right? And so I think you see a lot of leadership trying to deal with that. And you see a lot of people being attacked. Like Bill Gates is being attacked. There's a conspiracy saying that he started this whole thing because he's been working for the past 10 or 20 years trying to fight it. So somehow he created it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And, a weaker person in his position would say, you know what, guys, go ahead, do your thing. I'm going to hang out in my mansion. Leave me alone. I'm going to order in. You guys handle this yourself. But he's not doing that, is he? Same with Fauci. He's being attacked because he's trying to follow the science. How? I don't understand it. By all intents and purposes, that guy's a good guy. He's been working for the government, for the community, for us, for decades. So, put yourself in that position. If you don't have a strong purpose at 78 years old, you're going to say, you know what? Fine. You guys want to rake me through the mud in the media and say that, threaten my life and everything else that's going on right now? Fine. I'm a doctor. I made a lot of money. I'm going to go hang out in my house and let you guys all handle this. I'll be safe. I'll live out the rest of my life. You guys do your thing. He's not doing that. Guy's got a mission. He's got a purpose, right? And you don't have to agree with the whole thing, but look at the fact that guy's got a purpose that enables him to put up with the threats, the conspiracies, all of the other stuff. Everything he has to deal with day in and day out, his mission is to save as many lives as possible. And he's going to do that every day regardless of the stress and strain and pushback. That's respectable. That's respectable. So, it's having that purpose in any position you're in. You could be president of the United States. You could be a stay-at-home parent. Wherever you are, if you have a sense of purpose, that's what drives you forward. Now, how does this come back to somebody like me? Look, we can talk about the purpose of the business, but I want to talk about the purpose of my house, right? The purpose of us as a family. Lynn and I, because I just finished this book, and I said, "Look, you got to read this. You got to read it." And we talked about it early this morning. We were both up pretty early, and we're sitting on our bed. And I said, one of the things that came out of this book is that, like anti-fragile relationships and systems get stronger in adversity. And I said, I see that in us, right? I see that as we have gone through this issue with the house, as we've gone through having to stay at home to protect ourselves and our family, as we've worried about any potential issues with the business. Like, there's a lot of things coming at us, right? And, we have to, I look forward in everything. Like, I'm always trying to anticipate risks. So I'm anticipating risks financially. I'm anticipating risks from a health perspective. So that's why I'm out buying groceries 2 months ago, because I saw this coming down, right? And that's why we told Lynn, like Luann and I told Lynn, she was flying to New York in late February, don't get on that plane. We don't want you to get on that plane. If you have to drive. Do not get on that plane. And she didn't. And so, I'm projecting ahead months that this might be a bigger deal. If not, no big deal. The food I purchased won't perish, and we'll just eat from it later on. But, thankfully we did what we did because we were covered. But so as we're anticipating all of these threats to our family, we got stronger. We have been working together. We've been giving each other more grace in bad times, and we've been working together in all of this time. And looking back over the history of our marriage, that's what happened with us, right? So when our baby was dying, right, and eventually was stillborn, when that happened, we were as strong as ever. It's when that was over is when we started to drift apart again, as we started putting our focus in other areas. So my discussion with Lynn today was that it's important that when this is all over, when we're in the new house, when the economy is stable, when we're not worried about getting sick anymore, the most important thing that we can do is not forget this focus that we have right now. So the most important thing we can do is every day talk about what our family mission is. So whatever we come up, and I think this is the first part of our thing, is that we need to come up with our family purpose or our family values, our family mission, whatever one thing that we want to say to each other every day. What is it that defines us as a family? And it's something that I'm gonna hammer home with my kids every day. It's like that, a good leader in a business, a good military leader always has something they're saying that gives somebody a strong focal point to drive for. So if anybody ever says, "What do you do around here?" Well, I help us do this, right? And that's like our family thing. Like what's our mission? And we need to distill it down into something simple that my 6-year-old can understand and say, this is why we do what we do. This is why we limit electronics. This is why I focus in school. This is why I'm nice to the kid on the bus. This is why we don't bully people. This is all of the little things that make up who we are as a family. Right now, this stuff is in sharper focus than ever because we have threats to our family. But when those threats are over, when the clouds part, when we're just sort of chilling and rolling and everything's going good, then what? Then what? Like when the pressure is off, how do we keep on that path? So what I would say to you, bringing this back into where you are right now, in Define My Day, we have that at the end of the page, like my theme for today is. My homework for you would be to do this. Come up with a household theme for you and anybody else that lives with you. What is your mission as a small organization? What are you moving toward in your life? We're working on ours. I have a lot of thoughts. It's not distilled into one thing, but we have a lot of loose ideas and a lot of things I talk about a lot on here, and my boys are picking up on it. We talk about, like, my son likes to do all of his homework as soon as it's available so it's off his plate, right? First things first. That's amazing, right? He picked that up by observing us, but not in things that we've said. And when you don't say things all the time, when you're not always saying like this mantra, things start to drift, right? And 2 months down the road, I don't want my kid going, "Well, Dad, where'd that come from? That's not something we've talked about." No, we do every day, right? Like that's to avoid that. We're going to talk about it every day. Like this is who we are. There's a guy that I came across. I've never heard of him before, but I saw him live last year. His name's Jesse Itzler. He started NetJets, I believe, and now he owns an NBA team. And he does a lot of motivational stuff and keynote speaking. And he was talking about in his dining room on the wall are his family values. And so they walk into that room and they see them every day. And when they invite guests over, if somebody comments on them and says that they like them, he gives them a T-shirt with the family values on the T-shirt. And so, like, that's how into it he is. The family sees it on the wall every day, and if anybody likes it, he gives them a T-shirt to take home. Here, take these family values, right? That's taking it to an extreme. That's probably necessary, because when you have a good organization, whether it's a business, an army, or a family, everybody's playing by the same sheet of music. Everybody knows the direction we're going. There's no question about it, because we're all following these same guidelines. And so that's my homework for you. And I would love to see in the comments, either on this video or tomorrow's video or next week's video, comment on what you came up with. Like, what are you guys working for? It could be simply right now, like it could be, I don't even want to put anything in your head. You comment on what you're working toward and let me know what that is. I would love to see it. I would love to see it. All right, let me hit up the comments real quick. So, Debbie, you're correct. So, it reminds me of a child who wants no rules but craves structure and cannot figure out how to have both. And that is a lightning bolt statement, right? Yeah, get the book. Get the book. It's an amazing book. And the guy, it's funny because it's not something that's in my mind debatable. I'd love to hear other points of view, but um, like his thoughts are much more refined versions of things that I've already been thinking. And then as I'm reading it, I'm like, yeah, this guy figured it out. Like this is what I was trying to think about. This guy figured it out. It's just that like it's like right spot on for me. Um, and so the going back to the child who wants no rules but craves structure and cannot figure out how to have both. And that's the thing. And that's a matter of habit, and it's a pattern of thinking. And I relate it to like when my wife tries to get my boys to do something, whether it's reading or they have this little thing they got for Christmas. It's like a marble roller coaster. It's made out of wood, and they have to glue it together, and it goes piece by piece every couple of days as the glue dries, right? And every time she asks them to do it, they fight and they scream, I don't want to do it. I'd rather do something else. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But once they're into it for 5 minutes, they won't quit. Same thing with reading. They don't want to read, but the minute they start reading, they won't get off the couch. They read for an hour. So it's this push and pull between the thinking and the feeling brain, right? And people right now don't want to be told what to do, but they're craving strong leadership. And that's what we need, and especially in times like this. Well, you look at a guy like Andrew Cuomo. For the most part, even Democrats didn't like him. I mean, I've talked with some people. I never even really was aware of the guy until recently, and they in his own state there were a lot of people in the Democratic Party that didn't even like him. But because of the leadership he's shown right now, his state loves him. Even a lot of Republicans love him because he is giving them the direction they want. And he is giving them all of the information, even the hard truths, because that's his values, right? It's in line with his values and his purpose. And so people see that and they trust it, and then they follow it. Hey, you're welcome for the homework. Last night, my daughter and I were filling out DMD before bedtime. She said she was putting the theme for the day in, and she wrote, "Stay positive." I said, "I love that. I'm going to put that for mine too. We'll be positive together." Good for you guys. Good for you guys. Stacy says, "Good food for thought today. Thank you. Since we're talking about pain, that's an area I could use some insight on using DMD. I've worked really hard, especially the last few weeks, scaling things back and really digging in to be more realistic for where I am right now. Good. My frustration is that there have been a lot of days in the last few weeks, especially yesterday, that I can't cut that. All the weather changes and storms have zapped my energy and really increased my pain. It's been a struggle to focus. I see the same pile there day after day and it's barely going down. I'm trying to be gentle with myself, but some things have deadlines and some I can hit. Some it's taking days to hit things first. When I'm not in pain, I can bang out in a couple hours. How do you navigate planning, scheduling so that it's not causing more stress? I'm sorry. I'm trying hard to not just throw my hands up and say whatever. If I get something done today, that's a win. I really don't know what side of the fence to plan that through. So for me, my first instinct in reading what you wrote there was to chunk it out. I think you have to look at it as segments of a race, right? So if you have this pile, don't look at the whole pile. Pick something that would take you 45 minutes and just hit that. Don't try to digest the entire 3 hours. So take that 45 minutes, take a break, and then if you want to go to another thing, sort of a relaxing thing, fine. But this is where time blocking can help a lot. So you want to time block your on time, like your productivity time, whatever you feel is appropriate, and then time block your relaxation time. Don't overwork during your productivity time. Don't allow yourself to be distracted. And then on the flip side, on your break time, don't do any work in your break time and make sure you're doing something that's productively relaxing for you during that break time. So, a lot of people during break time might make a phone call to somebody that ends up stressing them out, or they, watch the news and that makes them more anxious, or they do something that just is detrimental. So, have that solid, whatever a block of time that is digestible to work with no distractions. Turn the news off, close your door, turn off your phone, all of that stuff, and focus hard. On the flip side, when you're taking a break, take a break. And take a break doing something that's good for you, not something that's going to make things worse. And I think that is, if you can do that and stay with that commitment, right? Whatever you commit to doing, whatever you feel is appropriate for you, follow through on that. Kathy, my husband and I are usually a great team during adversity, but this time not so much. Upon reflection, while you're speaking, I think it's mainly because we have different perspectives. He has to go out every day as an essential worker, whereas I'm home except for grocery shopping. He takes the virus seriously, but in my mind, he doesn't because he doesn't verbalize as much. And I think that's a communication thing. Yeah. I would be stressed out if I had a spouse that wasn't as compliant with the rules as I was, right? And that's not the case with you because he's an essential worker. I get it. But it's very similar in that he has to go out and be potentially exposed. Where with us, we've agreed we're not leaving, right? So, and it's been like the company line. And I've read articles about people like if you have a spouse or somebody that lives with you, a sibling who's just not on the same wavelength, it's setting boundaries. It's maybe even changing locations. If you have that opportunity, I don't know how many people that do, but it's hard, and that would be incredibly stressful and aggravating, and it would feel, it would feel, man, I don't even know. It would be anxiety ridden, I think. In your situation, it sounds like you're on the same page. I think it's just a communication thing. I think it's touching base. I think it's letting him know how you feel about it. And hopefully he can reassure you about how he feels. But I think it's that touching base. I think it's just communicating. I think you'll be fine. Just increase the communication. Just say, hey, look, I just need to understand where you're at, and I think it would be good for us to talk a little bit. And that's something that we've even been doing with our kids because, we feel like with our boys, we need to start scheduling more interactive time. It could be like immediately after dinner, we're just going to sit at the table and maybe they grab a Coke, maybe we cut some fruit, and just hang out and do whatever. Kind of like a social, like a social gathering, like as if like extended family were coming over, and just do that with the boys and just schedule time so that we're not relying on like us passing each other in the house, and not worrying about being intentional at random times. We're going to actually schedule it so that we're together for a set amount of time, and we'll start small. We'll probably do it for half an hour and try to build on that, and maybe even at other times through the day. But we want to try to make sure that we're building more structure into our day and not allowing less structure to creep in. So, all right, I don't see any more comments, so I'm going to get going. It's 10:45. Looking forward to a good day today. I hope your day goes well. Stay healthy, keep moving forward, and let me know what your family or household message is. I'll talk to you soon.